Hey, welcome to Jeremy Snell's Recruitment Training. If you're looking to deepen your capabilities, if you're seeking to improve your productivity and your performance, this is the channel for you. In every episode, I will unpack practical and tactical things that you can do to help you to think with greater clarity, make better decisions, and ultimately make more money. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to like and to comment. And now let's get on with today's topic. Hey, this is a subject that's been on my mind for a while. It comes into my head and then it drifts, and then something reminds me of it, and then I get involved in something else and it drifts, and then it comes back to me. I keep returning to this thought process that revolves around the concept of micromanagement. There are a lot of articles and things which get shared on the internet, which is employees talking about their dislike of being micromanaged. And I get it. And I can understand the frustrations that would be associated with that. If you're good at what you do, if you know how to conduct yourself in a way that you can get the work done in the time that is allocated, if you are productive, if you're efficient, if your performance is strong, micromanagement is going to suck. But I also know that there are plenty of people who, when they say they don't like to be micromanaged, I think what they actually mean is they don't like being managed. And it's created a ripple effect into management and leadership, where managers worry about being a micromanager and they hold back from doing some of the things that they could do, they should do, to influence the performance of their team. And I'm particularly thinking about when demonstrably people can't deliver the outcomes that are expected, like the results, or people are unable to fit into the confines of time allocated to do the job, the tasks that are required. And it makes managers hesitant. And when managers hesitate, it creates tolerance. And when we start to tolerate things that we know are substandard, whether they are behaviours, whether it is a lack of activity, whether it is inconsistency of results, when we tolerate it, we endorse it. And we create a culture where people are left almost to their own devices to work out how to be able to deliver the outcomes, how to be able to do the work without enough guidance, without enough support. And dare I say it, without enough accountability. And there is a culture in some businesses where the attitude of management and leadership is one that revolves around, well, we treat people as adults. They know what is required. They know how to do the job. Yet consistently what we see, behaviourally they don't. They don't appear to be able to deliver the level of inputs that are required that we would call the activity. They don't appear to be able to generate the consistency of outcomes that are required that might look like new instructions, projects to work on, jobs that are being created. And they appear to be unable to hold the line of delivering to a minimum expectation in terms of billing. So I see it as being the great abdication, the letting go of ownership by business owners who go home frustrated because they can clearly see that what they want to have happen in their business that generates the profits that allow them to reinvest back into the team, it's simply not happening. And in the corner of my eye, I see that there are businesses who are making a decision to hold back on growing headcount, to be less committed to growth through people, and to find other avenues to achieve increased profitability because of the great unreliability of individuals that ultimately is driven by a lack of accountability. You can go back a number of episodes in the podcast, right? You can pick up on the session that I did that revolved around the relationship between goals and standards and KPIs. When we set standards, these are our minimum expectations. This is how we engage with a candidate. This is how we engage with a client. This is what it means to provide the right service to our customers. Standards aren't things that feel like they are over and above doing the job. It's the minimum expectation. This is how we conduct ourselves to be consistent and in line with the values of our business. And some of those standards might revolve around the work that we do to acquire customers. Some of those standards might revolve around how we support a client who is hiring to achieve their goals in the right timescales. And standards are things where accountability needs to sit. And if you have a group of people that you claim to be adults and you allow them to do the work without being over-managed or micromanaged, then they hold themselves accountable to those standards. We don't need to have a conversation with them about the standards because it has been embedded into them. And they have started to identify as somebody who will succeed in our business because they buy into the existence of those standards. That isn't always the case. And it was brought back to me when I saw a LinkedIn update where a sales coach, Richard, was saying one of the things that highlights to him very early in his sales meetings that there isn't a culture in that prospect of coaching is the phrase, "We treat everyone like adults." It's not something that encourages accountability. And if there isn't the results being seen, one has to get closer, right? If someone can't manage themselves, that's when we need to step closer to them and provide some guidance that might feel like they're being managed. And they may even push back and say, "I know what I'm doing." Yet if the dashboard proves that they don't, yet if the results prove that they don't, yet if their behaviours prove that they don't, it's a defence mechanism. The shield of pushback, rejecting the management, does not help them to get closer to being able to do their job. And then I was reminded again, I ran a performance lab in Manchester with a group of 20 or so recruitment business owners and senior leaders. And we were talking about performance and we were workshopping in their business. What would it take to improve productivity, to improve performance, to start to create an environment where there was greater consistency of generating good outcomes? All of it linked back to people. And some of the concerns in the room, they revolved around, yeah, but if I start to get closer to holding people more accountable to things, Jeremy, you've put in this pre-work that we had to do. What are the consequences of not delivering the standards? Just the word consequences made some of them balk. They were like, well, what are going to be the consequences of not doing it? Well, what if they leave? If I start to hold them accountable, what if they leave? Well, what if you don't hold them accountable and they continue to not generate enough revenue that they are profitable and you keep on payrolling them? What if they stay and they stay as the inconsistent individual that they've proven themselves to be? Accountability and consequence are really important. So I shared with everybody a tool that I believe is kind of the antidote to feeling like you're micromanaging people. And it revolves around the simple subject that is involvement. The more we involve people in the agreement of, around here, what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to deliver exceptional service? What does it mean to be able to win a customer? And as we start to involve people with those things, as they contribute, as they get involved, their own input is being heard. Their own perceptions are being valued. And as we create ideas as to what that really means, the accountability now sits within the team rather than outside of the team. So the tool that I use to help to be able to do that, it's a simple acronym. The acronym is GISAR, G-I-S-A-R. It's GISAR. It's a GISAR meeting. In your team, having a GISAR meeting, you may see things in your business, in the team that you lead, that perhaps create moments of, or moments of frustration, or moments of, God, why are we still doing that? We've spoken about this so many times about how important. Well, if we keep talking about it and then not doing something about accountability, it's never going to change. So let's take a time out with the team and have a GISAR meeting. Different ways that you can run this, right? I've done this with post-it notes and asked people to contribute through post-its. I've done this with, let's shout ideas out, let's stick them onto a flip chart, let's whiteboard these things. But we start with a goal. And maybe the goal is the outcome that you would like to see. And that might start with a moan. And the moan is, what are the things that are frustrating me? So if I start to think, we're not winning enough new business, we're not getting enough jobs on, we're not making enough profit, whatever the thing is, and I catch myself moaning about it, I turn a moan into a problem. And the way that we turn a moan into a problem is the difference between what you see and what you want to have happen. A moan is just something that you see. So when we turn it into a problem and we look at it and we go, we're only winning one new client per month, or we're only picking up one new vacancy per week per consultant, current state. What I would like to see is 3. Problem, 2. Make sense? So I can see that on average we're winning 1 new job per week. I know that we have the capacity and the ability to be able to make that 3 per week. And if we got to 3, there'd be far more choice, far more candidate conversations, far more positive activity, far more billings. And the team would be happier. So my problem is 2. How do we increase job flow consistently by 2 vacancies per week? Goal becomes a question that we throw to the team. And you give them the post-it notes, you get to the whiteboard, everyone share your ideas. Ideas is the I in Giza. Now we've got a goal. How do we increase job flow on average by 2 vacancies per week per consultant? Everyone, ideas. 1 idea per post-it note. Let's start to make sure that each of us can come up with 10 different ways that we could do that. And now the challenge is on. And you have a team of 5 people, all being asked to generate a minimum of 10 ideas. When everyone's got their 10 ideas, let's stick them up on a board. And let's start to cluster them together to see where there's commonality. If we're whiteboarding it, we simply run the ideas. There's no judgment of an idea. We don't get one idea, autopsy it, reject it, and then find another idea, because that discourages the creativity. Ideas are gathered without judgment. And then when we have a minimum of 10, you think about the post-it note exercise. I did that with a group of consultants where there was 4 people who together ended up with 48 post-it notes on a wall, which was, how could we increase job flow? 48 ideas. It came from the floor. It didn't come from me. So as everyone shares their ideas and they can see the amount of choice that there is, we can now start to arrange them. And we can start to arrange them in 3 simple columns. Which of these things are we doing to the max already? And that's column 1. We're all in on these. Second column, which of these do we feel that we have done, can do, however are inconsistent at? Column 2. Column 3, which of these ideas are we nowhere fucking near doing? Third column, we now have consistently all in, we now have 50-50, we now have NFN. And as we look at the ideas to start to see, well, exactly how many of these is in our wheelhouse? What are we inconsistently doing? What stops us doing more of things that we've proven we can do? The things that we're all in on, how many of them are effective? And if we were to replace one with something we were inconsistent with, which one would it be? And the things that we're nowhere fucking near doing, what could we do, even if it was inconsistent, that could start to influence the job flow? So that is S. We select some strategies. And when everyone identifies strategies that they feel, that's a bit of me, I'm having a bit of that, yes, that is a very good idea. And they start to endorse ideas. It originates as an idea in themselves. This is where accountability lives, right? It lives inside people. So as we agree some strategies, that is the S. So we've done goal, we've done ideas, we've done selection of strategy. A, my friends, it's called action. So we've had a good meeting about it, we've made some decisions, we've unpacked and autopsied some ideas, we've made some commitments, so let's see some action. And if we're going to see some action, the sooner the action happens, the better. The best movie in the world for recruiters to watch, to understand how to recruit better, is Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins tells us, a job begun is a job half done, right? So if we're going to take action, It is important that within 4 hours of the meeting ending, the first action has happened. A job begun is a job half done. So if the idea is to improve job flow, one of the ideas that everyone embraced was the lapsed customer idea. Let's do that thing. Okay, well, in the next 4 hours, let's make sure we've all got a targeted list which has got 10 lapsed customers each. Because if we've got the list, we're already halfway to doing the work. If we don't do the list by the end of the day, the chances are we're not going to do it at all. And now you've got something to review. And that is the R. Action, review. And if we bounce backwards and forwards between action and review, so everyone, let's make sure that by the end of today we've all got 10. We get together, we review. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Nice. Next action. Calling tomorrow. Let's have a little go at perhaps some openers. What are we going to say? How are we going to table this? What could we introduce as assets to the conversation? How do we increase their perceptions of the value of us turning up? What might we need to remind them of that we did for them in the past? So as we then create another action list and the calls are going to take place tomorrow, we schedule a review. You feel where this is going, people? This is guided, structured, direction orientated, agreed behaviours. We call this management, people. Management, my friends. We don't call this micromanagement. We're now managing the implementation of a project. And because we're now managing the implementation of a project that everyone has been involved in creating, that everyone has started to recognise that their contribution was valued and the things that they've committed to do, they want to do, we are now maintaining their enthusiasm for their own accountability. And our job is to be that supportive manager who's ensuring that step by step, we're getting this done. So it's now down to us to decide at what point do I want to become more consistent with my management of the team? Because this uber fashionable thing about being a good leader and leading from the front and inspiring others to follow and holding people as adults, and they know what they're doing, and it's down to them to manage their day and to manage their tasks and to do the right things, and all I need to do is to keep on paying them their £5,000 every month, and just know that they recognise that there is a trade taking place. For every £5,000 I give them, there is a set of standards that need to be delivered. They know that. We don't talk about it, but they know that. And the fact that they don't achieve it, we have meetings to say, hey, how did your week go? We recognise together that the standards weren't delivered. We recognise that job flow is compressed. We recognise that billings aren't looking as hopeful as they could have been. However, we find a way to get through the meeting on the promise of next week as being better. And unfortunately, we don't hold ourselves accountable. And because we don't hold ourselves accountable as a manager, it's very difficult for the other person to also hold themselves accountable too. So we have an agreed conversation that revolves around some excuses. We acknowledge the excuses. We make some promises. We agree that as adults, next week could be better. It's just a choice. And then we go and enjoy our weekend. And as a business owner, you can end up feeling frustrated and concerned and anxious. I know business owners who are more anxious about the performance of their consultants than some of the consultants are about their own performance. And the consultant's job depends on their performance. The business owner knows this. The business owner also knows that the stability of their business hinges on the performance of people. We owe it to our team to be good managers. We owe it to our team to set standards. We owe it to our team to create accountability. We owe it to our team to ensure that there are consequences that revolve around the consistent missing of the delivery of simple standards. We're not talking about goals. Goals are aspirational. We coach to a goal. We have accountability to a standard. And when you recognise the difference between the two, and you see the power of your first Giza meeting, and you start to set the tone for each quarter by kicking off with a Giza meeting that revolves around maybe your quiet frustration about something that then gets turned into a problem that then allows us to frame it as a positive goal. You can then ensure that you are turning up every day with clarity in terms of what's been agreed as to what will be done, when it will be done, how it will be done, why it will be done, and permission to check in. Micromanagement is now gone. This is the antidote. Hey, thank you for watching. If you want to continue to get access to more high quality training and coaching ideas to help you to stay inspired as a recruiter, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, and check out the description below for relevant links to tools, frameworks, and other ideas to keep you moving forward. And I look forward to seeing you on another one very soon.